I'm not picking up an audio feed from you. So what's really bizarre is that I should be able to adjust my desktop volume, but I'm not even getting an input audio feed from you on here. Like, it's not even showing up. Good for now. I'm just trying to see where the disconnect is. Like, I swear to God, my literal curse on anything YouTube is audio related every time. Oh wait, I think I fixed it. Yes, I did. I did.
Test.
Okay, check yourself on YouTube.
Test. All right. So I'm the desktop audio. You're
Okay.
the
Here
mic
we
audio.
are. Take 2.
Now we're ready to work those buns.
Hi everybody. Welcome back. Hello. This is gonna be fun editing, right?
It is. It is going to be really fun. Okay, so it's fun. We had a couple of audio issues. Of course, you guys know that I am plagued with audio issues no matter what I do. But today I have with me the famous, the amazing
No.
B from Kongs R Us. And as you guys know, he is one of the biggest modders in the community and a beloved community member. And B was one of the first content creators who I met and who was very embracing. He took me in and he gave me his warm embrace and was like, welcome to the community. And it's great to have you here today, B.
Hey, thanks for having me. Those are two kind of words. Everything that you just said, actually, it still makes me somewhat uncomfortable to hear some of those things, right? Like when I started, just like you're a modder. One of the first videos I saw you doing was, tinkering, and that's how I got started with my YouTube career. It was sharing just the love of tinkering and doing something cool. And so I still to this day, even though you said the words famous and like beloved, like I feel like I still want to be a community member that's just sharing cool stuff more than being a quote unquote content creator celebrity. So when people walk up and still say those things, still not quite used to that portion of it. It doesn't happen that often, right? But I went to a pinball tournament, for example. Like, it was a 007 James Bond pinball tournament. And it was randomly 40 people, and there was 2 people that recognized me. They were like, oh, love your content. I was like, oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Have you gotten that yet? Have you been able to walk around San Diego and be
Oh
like,
my
hey,
God.
what's up, She-Line Gaming?
Okay, funny story. I used to have this black, I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was like a black arcade cab in my garage. And it was a multicade that my friend had built for me a long time ago. Well, I had to get it out of there because I put the MVS in there. But anyways, I was giving it away for free. I was like, somebody will want this and they'll want to do something with it,
Yeah.
And so the guy came and picked it up and he's like, do I know you? You look really familiar. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I mean, you don't look familiar to me, but maybe you've seen me, on YouTube or something. And he's like, oh, you do YouTube? And I was like, yeah. And, anyways, I help him pack up all this stuff and he leaves. And about 30 minutes later, I get a message on OfferUp and he goes, She-Line.
You must be wondering where have I been, but the truth is I'm so famous now I can't.
He has this long message and he's like, oh, that's so cool. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about, some of the arcade stuff that he does. But that was the only moment of YouTube fame that I've experienced.
You made it. The random, unprompted recognition, I still will never get used to. Again, it doesn't happen very often. I think the one that surprised me the most was I was at Evo, right? And I was walking through the casino, and there's a lot of people obviously that are there for fighting games. Somebody randomly walks up to me and was like, hey, you're the Fight K2 video guy. You helped set that up. And that was like my biggest video of 2022, was doing a tutorial on Fight K2. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, hey, man, awesome. Like, see you around. But yeah, I'm always happy to talk to anybody that really wants to talk and just have a conversation. But yeah, it just kind of depends. I always try to at least one, find out if, like, the last couple times it's happened, it says, oh, have I ever seen you like in a live chat? Like, what's your YouTube handle? And some people are like, oh no, I just watch. But some people I'll be like, oh, it's you. Like, who was it? Retro Steve. I ran into Retro Steve, who I played on Big Blue, and I've kicked his ass a few times. Sorry.
Perfect.
It's fun. He's like, yeah.
No, it's okay. This is an adult show.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
Yeah, it is. It's cool though. Well, I think that's like one of the cool things about the home
Mm,
arcade community, even with some of the strife that we
mm,
experience here.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
I mean, it's tight knit,
mhm.
and like all the people who are in the community and watching, like the content creators, it's a big audience, but the content creators are tight knit, and then so like we share a lot of the same audience is what I mean to
Mm,
say. You do a really good job of getting down and dirty and just getting into things and
mm.
showing people what you're doing and explaining it. um, you're really
Oh,
good
you're
at
talking
that.
about modding still down. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
not just modding, I mean like your tutorials and everything that you do is it's just really good. So I mean, like, I could see why you would get a lot of recognition anyways, because you're doing things that I feel like not a lot of other content creators are doing, and you're just very nitty gritty with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That is actually was one of my goals when I started YouTube was if I was gonna explain something, I want to try to make the complicated uncomplicated or just find a way to be able to explain it in layman's terms because that's even me. I people say like, "Oh, are you a programmer? Do you like understand all this stuff?" I'm like, "No, I'm just a really good Googler
Yeah.
and know how to figure things out and try to explain it." So for example, my very first video I ever did on YouTube was a Star Wars tutorial and I had to mod the Star Wars yoke and turn it into a USB. And it was using an encoder called the
Hmm.
APAC and Altimark, right? And it uses analog signals. I didn't know about analog signals. So do you know what a potentiometer is, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so a potentiometer
What
is
is
like
it? What does it mean?
potentiometer. It's like so that this is the word. So that's the thing inside of any given joystick that measures the range for an analog signal. It's not a digital signal, it's an analog signal.
Okay.
I didn't know how to say that word. So in my tutorial, I called it a potentiometer. And I was like, oh, here's how the APAC works. And it plugs into the potentiometer. And then all these people were just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it wasn't until somebody that actually knew what they're talking about was in the
Uh-huh.
comments. And it's like, it's pronounced potentiometer. And I was like, again, I was just explaining it to the layman. I've never heard that term, but it's a pot, right? It's the X and Y
Right.
pot in an analog signal.
Yeah, yeah.
But I broke it down to a point where everybody was like, I understand it now. And so it was just lots of trial and error and then being able to explain it. But yeah, I appreciate what you're saying because anytime I do a tutorial, I want to try to break it down to the lowest common denominator
Right,
so that
right.
anybody could understand it and try to make it like less I would say, like have less fear about modding.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Like,
one of
not
my
to be
goals.
afraid of the technical aspect,
Yeah,
to simplify
exactly.
it.
And don't be afraid to break shit, because most everything you can fix. I think,
Right.
yeah, anything that I've ever modded and broken, like you can fix things.
Yeah. I feel like that's part of the reason why I started YouTube as well.
Mhm.
And I've talked about this before, but just the fact that you go out and you're looking, and this totally applies to what you were saying about being a Googler. You're
Mhm.
looking for something,
Mhm.
and you might find something that has a whim of what you need, but it's not quite at the level that you need it at. And you're like,
Mhm.
man, I should really make a video because I know there's other people out there who would love to see this process like
Yeah.
simplified, right?
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
if it's possible, how many times have you looked to see if someone's even done something and then not found any information on it, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Those are the ones where it's like, oh, like they just showed the beginning and then they skip to the end. Like,
Yeah,
where is everything else that happened? Because it's
exactly.
a lot of trial and error, honestly. So I get it. I get why people don't do full-on tutorials on how to get things, because half of it is figuring it out first, and then to film it while you're doing it, and then be able to explain it. I've done that before, where like I finish the mod, and then I have to undo it to like explain it.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
like, all right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of getting trying to get myself in the habit of filming myself as I do
As you
things
do
so
it,
that I
just for
can do
B-roll, yeah.
right, and I can do like audio over it,
Mm-hmm.
once it's all done.
Yeah, smart.
Sometimes I can explain while I'm doing it, like I'm in the process of doing it, but I mean, you saw some of that KI build stream that I did.
Mm-hmm. 4 hours. Congratulations on the longest ever live unboxing.
I could not. Oh my god, I was like dying at the end of that.
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it was good though. Like I was glad that I think I had a big audience. Like a lot of people were really
Mhm.
curious about it, but
Yeah,
I was trying to explain things and
yeah.
not like sound like I was blubbering through it, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
What
so
helps if you do it again in the future with anything is to really have like a co-pilot that can help manage questions in chat because you had to do both. You had to be a host, you had to be a builder, you had to answer questions and then
right,
go back to it.
yeah,
So yeah, I've been there, but yeah, you did a great job for managing all that plus the brand new build where you had to look at instructions because I hate looking at instructions and
yeah.
you did good.
Oh well, thank you.
Mhm.
Um, so kind of on that note, by the way,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on that cab?
KI Pro, I would say from the look and aesthetic standpoint, it's really nice in terms of them getting, especially like I like the extra front portion that they did, trying to make it look like a real cabinet, right? Like
Like a
it's
midway cab?
yeah, like a midway cab with that little extra. As I explore more arcades and see the real versions of cabinets, I'm like, oh, they tried to replicate that. So I give them kudos for like just the brand new design aspect of the cabinet. The chrome trim, I personally am a fan of chrome in general, so I like it when I see it. Like when I see something that has chrome, it's like a pseudo way to make it feel like it's premium, and so
Right.
I think that's what they're thinking. Like when the arcade went up, pinball cabinet first came out, and they had the chrome trim and the chrome legs and the chrome. I was like, oh, this looks really shiny and cool. I know the trim part scratches. I bet the chrome they used is the same one that they used on the side of this, by the way. So I don't know because I don't have one. But yeah, I think aesthetics wise, it looks really good. I definitely was disappointed, just like many, many people were, in the controls that they use. When I saw, I think it was Todd Wilson. Think that's his name in the Facebook chats that were like posting one of the first pictures of everything. I was like, somebody take a picture of the joysticks. I want to see what they used. So I had lots of the same reactions of people of the joystick choice that they used because we knew that that was something that was going to be a big sticking point. But
Right.
besides that, from a game standpoint, I never played Killer Instinct much in the arcade. I was an SNES player, and so I didn't have the
Oh, okay.
nostalgia for playing it in the arcade as much as I did on my console. So it just I don't have the cabinet at all, and I still have been 100% on the fence because I remember playing the game a lot, but just not in an arcade format. So,
Right.
and I'm terrible at it, but maybe soon.
Yeah, I mean, for me as a hardcore, like I am actually kind of a hardcore when it comes to Killer Instinct. And
Nice.
I felt like they had said like that cabinet was going to be for the hardcores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they did kind of allude to
They
that
did.
or say that. You know what? The chrome trim, I think it really pops. And you said the premium feel. I made a joke about them doing it because they were trying to make it look like an iPhone Pro because you know the Pro models have
Yeah.
the shiny trim.
Yes.
Um, but I actually, I know a lot of people said they should have gone with black, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like a black gloss would have been cool. But I actually think the chrome trim really pops. I just
Mm-hmm.
hate that it's so cheap that it like scratches
So
off.
it does
And
scratch when you like scuff. So it scuffs easily, is what you're saying.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not careful, you'll scuff it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that was one of the things with the overall outside build quality that I was disappointed with. I felt like they could have done not actual vinyl, but like you know how the iArcade has like those thick stickers that they put
Mm-hmm.
on it, and
Yeah, yeah.
those are really nice. I felt like they could have at least gone the distance with that. But the overall build of it, and I said this in my review video, it's the best looking fighting cab that they've built up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the best looking and it feels the best because it's actually the same width as a real fighting cab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it kind of holds its
So
at
that's,
least yeah, holds up to a full size. So you would say like is it truly full size at that point?
I would say it's not as tall. It's about 5 inches short, but
Okay.
look, it feels like you're playing on a full size cab with a 19-inch screen.
Nice.
I mean, if they would have done like a 21-inch screen, it would have
Mm.
been It would have been a lot more primo. I
Mm,
mean, the marquee, I can let that slide, but the joysticks, that's what really got me going. I'm like, dude,
mm,
come on.
yeah.
There's just no reason for that price point why something like that should be the way it was. So, I mean, am I happy I got one? Yes. Um, but do I think it's worth that price? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
And so I just feel like I think between that and Dragon's Lair, it is one of the reasons that I feel like I will never buy anything directly ever from Arcade One Up ever
What
again.
was your issue with Dragon's Lair?
That they said it was only going to be available through their website for $650, and
And
now
then
it's
it
at
started
Home
showing up other places.
Depot for 500.
Yeah, the premium product. That's funny.
Mm.
Dragon's Lair, I did think it was a really good
Oh,
cabinet,
I
but
love it.
to your point about the vinyl, I'll use Tron as a good example. Do you have a Tron cabinet
Hmm.
as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Tron artwork, since it's like black vinyl, even on the inside,
Hmm.
right? That shit is like peeling and it gets scuffed, and then and so then I have like white little like marks all over the place because
Yeah.
again, the quality of the print is just now getting scuffed as I move stuff around. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I get your point. That one, for example, anything that's black when it kind of scuffs and moves, then it's
Right.
like, why is there like a little thing that's showing? So I can see that being an issue further down the line for sure.
Yeah, I mean that was just one that I was like, come on, like out of the box. I'm like trying every move I make. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, no, don't scratch it, don't scratch it. Yeah,
Oh
I've
yeah.
given up. I have so many scuffs on like the riser sections because I have a bunch of crap in my arcade. So yeah,
Oh well, I
yeah.
do my best, but you know what? Tron and Dragon's Lair and Star Wars, I think, are
Hmm.
probably form factor wise, they're some of the best cabs that they've done because they just
Hmm.
really nailed it.
I love those. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes those really special cabs. So, I mean, I love a lot of the stuff that they've done.
Hmm.
It's just, man, they really made some poor choices the latter half of this year.
Hmm. I can't
But
can't disagree there. There was some I guess execution is what you would call it, right? Because there was definitely great
yeah, hmm,
anticipation,
hmm,
great quote unquote hype for the titles that they were releasing. It's just both the
yeah.
execution on their two marquee titles,
Well,
three,
I
if you count
think,
Killer Instinct Pro at the end of the year.
and you
Well, five.
talked about this on your stream the other day with John, but I
Hmm.
think that communication is just a huge thing, and
Hmm.
I just thought that. I mean, I still think that it has not been handled well. And another thing, like John getting like all the flack in the community for
He
everything that
does.
goes wrong is like,
Hmm.
I'm like, God damn, like give the dude a break. Like,
Hmm.
um, that's another thing aspect of the community that is very puzzling to me. It's like, I feel like people really need to understand that he is not the face of Arcade One Up. Like he's one of the most, I think, knowledgeable people when it comes to the library of licenses that they have and
Hmm.
actually being a gamer. So he can talk on a lot of those points, I guess.
Yeah, it's for him it's he's been the longest tenured person that has interacted with the community
Right.
over the years, so
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for him to be, put out there as the spokesperson or scapegoat, if you will, for things that are good, things that are bad, and for lack of communication is not technically his responsibility for making that communication, but it so happens he has been, the most in tune and connected with the community. And so as the company is grown and has had different marketing strategies and communication strategies, I don't think it's for lack of John wanting to communicate more, but really the direction of the company and them choosing when and how to communicate, which has been inconsistent at best. So I think there's some of that turmoil happening in the company itself. And if it were up to John, I would say he would love to be, being communicative a lot more. But there's a weird thing about the home arcade community space. We are getting to the point where if they're going to be considered as like a legit publisher or company in the video game industry, like there's no other video game company that has this level of community interaction and expects that level of communication to their fan base. The Nintendos, and it's not
Right.
the same level as them,
Right.
but they're not addressing every single little issue with every game release that comes out, right? They are, people will complain to the wazoo, but they're not getting any formal response until like something XYZ happens. And
Right.
so, but we've become accustomed in the home arcade space.
Mhm.
YouTube is the preferred method of delivery for this, which is really interesting. And so there's this really unique space that I feel like if the home arcade companies, and some of them have, right, embrace that this is the niche and this is how people prefer to be communicated with, they
Yeah.
could do more with it if they don't think of themselves as a traditional video game company, but just say, this is what we are, this is how the community wants information, let's give it to them regularly like we said we want in this format, and it could work. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping they do make some changes in 2023.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I would like to see them succeed, and I would like to see at least a better baseline within the community. I mean, there's always going to be people who don't like the products. I feel like at this point, it's more about the company fulfilling their promises, and I think the other aspect of it as well is, and on your point of the Nintendo argument, is just that they're putting out big pieces of hardware that are $600 price points, and so it's different than just like
A
games that
$50
are
game.
right.
Yeah.
It's a whole piece of hardware every time, and I mean, on that note, I just feel like they should be a little bit more careful in their QC and also their marketing strategy, because I think that was kind of one of the things that bit them in their ass this year was their marketing strategies and the way that they presented some of the things prior to release.
Yeah, you make a great point in terms of the price point. It makes it somewhat of a smaller demographic that can afford that many cabinets. It brings it to that level. And so that also brings up the expectations on, I could be spending $600 on a literally PS5, right? That could do so much more in a current modern generation. So I think those points are super valid. I had to kind of take myself out of it sometimes when I think about the newest person that just came into the arcade one-up or home arcade space this past 3 months. This was their first entry into the home arcade space, and this was the experience. Is this going to generate and create, continued ongoing fans of the company because of these mishaps and things? So if I was in, part of the company that was looking at that, customer retention is huge, and you want to be able to make sure that they have a good experience the first time around. So,
Yeah.
Things like buying a cabinet right off the bat and then seeing it go heavily discounted 3 months later, right? Little things like, maybe the online emulation not working quite right, and, and the lack of communication to fix products, definitely, MVC2 fans, right, are still clamoring about it. So
Yeah.
I think there definitely has been warranted a lot of negative attention, but they could be fixing things. All I've ever wanted them to do, even if it was a tweet, was an acknowledgement, and we hear you and we're
Yeah.
working on it. Like, just the acknowledgement that they've heard the issues. I had to
100%.
get it out of John there that he's heard it, and like it was valid. People were saying that, finally hearing from his mouth that he's heard all the issues. At least
Yeah.
somebody's hearing it. But an official acknowledgement from their channel would go a long way to help out their
I
community.
agree. That's what I've been saying since Blitz, is I think that they owe it to their consumers and to the content creators out there who are talking about their stuff on their channels to say, hey, we hear you guys, we're really sorry, we screwed up, and we're doing our best to fix it, we will fix it, blah blah blah. I just think that like some sort of formal response would be great in any situation. Like, just take that since Blitz time frame
Yeah.
and take it and apply it to any situation like that, because it's gonna make people can be forgiving, but like when you get like a vibe from someone like they're not sorry for wronging you in any way, like how does it make you feel? You
Yeah.
know?
So silence is deafening. But this is the internal struggle that's happening within the company is that there are some that are arguing like we should be considering like ourselves where we don't address every single issue like the other companies, right? Like it's almost like you would bring more attention to the issue by mentioning it versus not talking about it at all. Because we are a small
Right.
minority in terms of consumers and content creators for the wider base, right? Like if
Yeah.
on their official channel, if they mention it, it also would bring negative. So I get that from, that push and pull.
Right. Right.
At what point is it so bad that you have to make a statement versus letting it go and bringing more attention to a small issue that like
Yeah.
many of their customers don't even know about, right? Or care about.
Yeah, I mean, and I do see that point. Like when it comes to smaller things, like people complaining about joysticks and stuff like that, that's something that they hear and they don't have to respond to. But when it comes to like Blitz being released and saying online
Online.
play is good to go,
Mhm.
and it's not, or MVC2 coming out without online for MVC2. I mean, even an announcement prior to the official release of it,
About the
we
state of play.
yeah,
Mhm.
we just want to let our customers know that the online play will not be ready for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at release, but we are working on it and it will eventually be released. So I think like in situations like that, it's important to address things.
Mhm.
They don't owe us an explanation every time somebody's joystick breaks or they
Yeah.
think that the joysticks are crappy or the
Mhm.
marquee is crappy
Mhm.
or whatever. And they've made a lot of improvements to the build quality of the cabs. Yes, they're still they're still made out of the thin wood and stuff. But overall, when you look at what they've done and where they started, like the overall quality and feel of the cabs is light years ahead of where it was. I mean, how many
Mhm.
mod projects were we doing in the past that we now don't have to do because they're just
Yeah.
coming out of the box that way,
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
I think
I
the
agree.
biggest thing and the most important thing at this point, as far as what they're doing, is like that their software needs to come correct,
Mhm.
and then needs to be addressed with big issues like we were just talking about.
Yeah, and maybe there is that like a tier problem system or whatever, like a level of escalation where it's like you're right. If it's major enough, if it's like something that will impact every single user, like no online play, like those
Mm-hmm.
are things that I would like to see formally addressed and given a roadmap on at some level. And like David McIntosh wasn't given specific dates and things, but at least in an acknowledgement and saying it's being worked on, to your point, will at least satisfy some of the folks saying this is an official word. Everybody, was always going to have something to complain about a particular issue here or there. But I do agree that yeah, if they could at least just do that much, that would go a long way. Any company, right? Doesn't matter like if there's different issues. Because the flip side of it, and I don't think you have an At Games Legends product
I
yet. Do
do.
you?
Yeah, I
You
have
do?
an ALU. But
You have an AOU?
we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about that in a minute.
I was just saying, if you've ever seen, because in the past they just used to do so many firmware updates, like every
Mm-hmm.
week. It would just be a laundry list of things that like things were updated, and it was like an over tweaking. So we had like extremes of home arcade companies that
Mm-hmm.
were over updating folks, and then there's silence. So it's so interesting,
Yeah,
what we get from different home arcade companies.
yeah, it is.
Mhm.
And I think that as we kind of talked about, like this is a niche on YouTube, and
Mhm.
niche, and
Niche.
and that all of these companies, iArcade, Arcade One Up, um, At Games, and some of these other even private companies like on the sides, like Tulsa Arcades,
Mhm.
Paradox Arcade Systems, and Game Room Solutions. They all kind of hold these different aspects or different. They're in different corners of the home arcade community, but they've all kind of like if you really think about it over the last 4 years, especially with COVID, they've all kind of like calibrated the way that they interact and respond to their customers, and it's been an interesting evolution to say the least. But one area that Arcade One Up is probably the best in is the customer service department when it comes to arcade parts and
Mm.
replacements. I feel like they're really good at that. They used to suck, but they're really good at it now.
Oh yeah, it's improved. It definitely did suck, for many people, but there's been less complaints. I do think that is one area, to your point. They heard community feedback, and there was investment in true customer service folks responding more quickly and getting parts needed. So,
Yeah, I've never, I would say since like Gen 3, I don't
mhm,
think I've ever had an issue getting a replacement part. I'm like, hey, this is broken. They're like, okay, cool, send us a picture
mhm.
and we'll send you a replacement part, and they get it out pretty quick. So, but kind of shifting gears for a second, um, do you have an ALU?
I do, but not the full cabinet. It's
Oh,
a,
okay,
a
okay.
weird story. I do have a 1.0 panel, and I
Uh,
have the Gamer Pro. But yeah, I acquired it through a trade with Bobby Vu.
oh, okay,
So
okay.
he originally he wanted to keep the frame to make his own mod, and he didn't want the panel anymore. He just wanted the shape of the cabinet. So I was like, all right. So we did a tradesies for things. So I do have the panel,
Okay.
but not a full
A
cabinet.
tradesies.
So tradesies, yeah, that's what we do.
Cool. Well,
Mhm.
I have you ever heard of the Polycade?
Uh, is that a different version of a multi-cade? Is that a commercial product,
Oh,
Polycade?
yes, it's a
Huh?
commercial product. Hold on, we're gonna pull
Okay,
this out. To pull it up right now, and we're gonna switch view. Oh, it's already on the screen.
there it is.
Okay,
So white.
I know, right?
Mhm,
Um, Here it is, right here.
mhm,
So, oh wait, what does that have an? Is that an observer screen? But anyways, do you see that color scheme?
mhm.
So this is what this is. I want to do a color scheme like this for my ALU. And if you look here, you can see like how the buttons
Are you
are.
scrolling on your window? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's still stuck on the. Oh, I see it. I'm actually. Oh, I see it now.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Are we good?
yeah, no, I see it on YouTube versus the
Oh,
OBS
okay.
screens version. But
Okay,
yeah, yeah, no, I
okay.
can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it
yeah.
though.
All
So I
right,
see
good.
it's the Retro 2. Um,
Okay, so you have
yeah.
like, and I'm backing out. You have like the Polycade Lux, which is
Mm-hmm.
5 grand.
My
Five
goodness.
grand.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like standalone options as well. Why now? They used to have like a Jay and Silent Bob themed one. They had like
Mm-hmm.
some really cool color schemes. So I'm going. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna see if I can, because it's not. All right, I'm just gonna pull this one up and see if they have the options for it. All right, so they have the Retro 2. So
Mm-hmm.
their standard price point is about 5 grand, but these things are really, really cool. It's basically like the old Nintendo design,
Mm-hmm.
and they run on Steam. I think there's like, I'm actually not 100% sure how big the monitor is in here. Oh, spectate screen. Yeah, it does have a spectate screen.
I'm seeing the Retro 2. Definitely has that Nintendo shaped design. But what's that artwork on the side? Is that a character?
Yeah, I think it's just like generic kind of
Mm-hmm.
retro looking artwork, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's kind of a better picture of it. But like if you look at the everything, I just love the color scheme. It's bright, but it's so cool. Like I love the 80s style,
Mm-hmm.
yellow, orange, brown, blue.
That retro rainbow.
Yeah, yeah. And then the bezel, and then if you look at the buttons, they're like blue, green, red, yellow, pink. So it's kind of a cool combination of colors. But anyways, so my point of showing you this is one, Polycade is cool. You should check it out sometime when you have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I want to do this color scheme to my ALU. So this is going to be like potentially one of my projects of 2023, one of my
Mm.
exterior modding projects, so to speak.
I do like it when multicades have a singular theme design, even though it's like, the current design has all the different characters on it for the ALU.
Uh huh.
But yeah, if you can theme it into like a singular cabinet, that looks pretty cool. I would agree. Clean, clean, clean.
So yeah, yeah. But what do you have that you're excited about for next year?
Oh, projects. I have so many projects on my back burner list of things to do. One excited project that I'm super excited about um, is doing an updated version of a racing build plus a flight stick simulator.
Mm-hmm.
So the buy stuff guys, if you've seen, they have a racing rig option where you can
Yes.
like pull it together. That so I was working with them on a custom design and working with another guy who does some 3D printed modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it. It's really freaking cool. I could run and grab it, but it's maybe I should. I always like sharing the process instead of
Uh-huh.
like just doing it and showing the finished product because I'm like I want to just show it and showcase it off. But he 3D printed me Star Wars Battle Pod parts, so I'm making a flat screen Star Wars Battle Pod at home.
Oh,
So that's like
cool.
yeah, and then I'm using the buy stuff like chair and setup, and so my ideal setup as a modder would be to have a flight stick, but then I could also eventually use it as a racing rig too because you're limited on space because I sold my Outrun cabinet that I made, my custom one,
You
and then
sold your Outrun cabinet?
I did like the original. Yeah, I mean, I have
Those
the
are
space is the enemy of
okay.
all of us, right?
Wait, interjection here. Do
Yes.
you remember like when Arcade One Up first started making cabinets and they came out with cabinets like TMNT and Star Wars
Hmm.
and you would see them like once they were sold out, they were gone and then people would
Hmm.
sell them for like a lot of
Hmm.
money, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like I just want to point this out. I remember thinking Marvel vs. Capcom is another one, the original Marvel vs.
Hmm.
Capcom. I remember thinking though with some of their product lines like, oh man, if they come out with something really cool, which
Hmm.
is, Star Wars, Marvel vs. Capcom, they're only doing like a run of that and then it's gone. So there was like this point where I actually thought that, and this was before I was heavily into the YouTube community, but this point where I thought basically Arcade One Up would just make these cabs and that was it. It was like one run and they were done.
Yeah.
And so when they started coming out with more, popular cabs, I was thinking the same thing. And then they actually started just running these product lines.
So you got bad FOMO essentially.
Yeah, in the beginning I really did have bad FOMO because they were coming out with a couple cool ones, but I remember seeing Star Wars and I had no idea. I just saw it on
Yeah.
sale on Walmart's website and I was like,
Me too. Yeah.
yeah, and so I
Exactly.
so I picked it up. But anyways, random interjection there, sorry.
Yeah. Outrun for me was actually it was also a very like sentimental piece for me because it
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first live streams that I did. I did a live unboxing of Outrun and it was one of the first ones that ever came out. And I was just very new to even YouTube at that time, like less than 1,000 subs, and I was the first person to get it because I live in the Los Angeles area, and I think it was shipped from their Carson warehouse. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they select, oh, I think this person's gonna get this first. Like just
Right.
luck of the draw. Like random people always get certain things first.
Right.
It's not like I'm gonna pick out and send this to this person. So yeah, it was nostalgic because that was the first time. I think John D was in that live stream too. If you I don't know if you were there at the time, but he was trolling in the chat and was like, hey, there's this Easter egg on Outrun somewhere. You got to find it. And then he was like saying, peel the stickers, and like people are like, peel the sticker on the label of the wheel. And so like I literally was peeling it, and there was nothing underneath there. It was like destroying my cabinet live in front of everybody because it was such a troll job. But it was
Oh
a
my
reference
god.
because he's very good at like trolling, but having somewhat of some truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Easter egg is that some versions of Outrun, if on the control deck itself,
Mm-hmm.
there was a sticker that had the Arcade One Up logo, but if you peeled it off, it actually had the little horse Ferrari logo instead on the
Oh
dashboard. And
wow.
so there was a true like peel it Easter egg for certain versions of that cabinet, but it was
Was
kind
it
of revealed later on.
was it like stand up versus sit down?
Well, sit down first came out first. It was their first version of any type of sit down cabinet, and
Mm-hmm.
so everybody was like, "What is a sit down cabinet gonna look like?" And so,
But I mean,
um,
like the Easter egg, was it like only on one or the
oh,
other of the
so
models?
it was people were confirming that it was the Walmart version
Mm.
because the panel was already printed with the Arcade One Up logo. It's on the dash where there's like a little horsey figure, and then for some shipments, they already printed the logo and they had to go back and put like a little circle sticker to cover it. So the people were saying it
Oh,
was the Walmart sit down versions that had that Easter egg that you can unpeel. And nobody's ever had a home version of Star Wars Battle Pod, and that was one of the games I really wanted to play on my Star Wars cabinet. So yeah, that's going to be a fun project. I hope to get that done. It'll be a 32-inch screen with the Battle Pod 3D printed parts on the side, cool chair.
Yeah.
I'm still debating if I want to do it like build process along the way so people can see it, or if I should just be like, let's just finish it. Like, what do you do when you do a mod? Do you like showing the process and like kind of being tidbits along the way, or do you like just like pulling off the curtain and doing the final reveal at the end of the video?
I think as I've gotten more experienced, I like to film it, like as much as I can. I film as much as I can and try to get, just basically as much footage as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of just compile it all together and do like a voiceover talking about it or pointing out specific things. So that's kind of what I do. And then, I do like a B-roll reveal of it, and then maybe talk a little bit more afterwards or something. That's been my new thing.
Do you enjoy the editing side of content creation, or do you enjoy kind of the live portions of it? You've been doing a little bit of both now.
Yeah, I think I'm finding a little bit more balance between the two of them. I do really enjoy the editing aspect of it. And I always feel very critical of my own editing because my brain is like, okay, B, fun fact about me. My brain is literally like this exploding braingasm of ideas that's like going 24/7. So I'll do something, I'll edit it up, and I will have an idea of what I'm doing, and I'll do that, and then I'll add stuff in as I'm doing it. And then after I do it and I upload it, I'll be like, oh shit, I should have done like, this, and this to make it even better. But that's how my brain works. So I do really like the creative
You're
aspect
really
of it.
creative. I do enjoy your editing that you do for a lot of your content. And even your shorts are so creative and everything. So I can tell what you're saying in terms of like a braingasm of like ideas. At least you can get it out in some short form content too, because I think at least you're just getting it out there.
Yeah.
But your editing is really good. And it is one area in terms of YouTube content creation I wish I had more time to do. Is sit down edited content. And I do enjoy getting to that point, but finding the time to sit down and dedicate to filming the B-roll, editing it through.
Yeah.
It just takes up so much time that my channel has luckily still been able to thrive through mostly consistent live streams. And so when I mod, I'm one of the few people in the entire community that's dumb enough to do like mods live, just because like if I'm gonna be working on this anyways, might as well bring people along for the ride and they can kind of like see what I'm doing, talk through it.
Yeah.
It's not the best for tutorial because obviously I'm like just talking while I'm doing it, but at least it's some content. So
Yeah. I think it's great. And thank you for the compliment, by the way.
oh, okay.
And so I use editing software on my iPad, and I
Really?
just do all the footage, and then because then I can just take it wherever you need to go and be like in the process of editing and put it down and pick it up, and it's really easy and smooth. You know what I mean?
Because I have this random space.
Wait. Let me see the.
Yeah, look, this is my
Oh my gosh, I
my
see.
fancy blue tape that's holding down my webcam
see.
as I do my live streams.
Yeah.
I'm super, super fancy with
Wow.
my messy desk and all my little toys and things
It's
here.
the future of
It's the
desk
future.
clamps.
If you need a desk mount for your webcam, blue tape works wonders. It's so low budget, but yeah, I do
No,
what
hey,
you need to do.
Yeah, I'm totally about the ingenuity. Like I still find myself doing random things or trying to come up with like random outside of the box ideas of where I'm going to put, a camera, how I'm going to put it there. So I feel that. Especially when you're in like a quick fix and then you're like, well, this is just working, so I'm just going to keep doing it for now.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you wanted to show the 3D printed thing. Like if you want to go get it, you can.
Do you want to see the project?
I'm curious. Yeah.
You're curious now? All right. You're gonna edit this out anyways, right? I'm gonna zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
Back.
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
I'm gonna get out. I'll come back in 30 seconds.
5 minutes later.
All right, I'm back.
That thing looks huge. That was
All right.
3D printed.
Yeah. Okay. So you ready for this? Do
Yeah.
you want to see this full screen?
Yeah.
All right. So I have to give props to my buddy George Adana. He's been on my channel for a while. We've collaborated on some projects, and he has an obsession with 3D printers and acrylic things, and we've gone going back and forth. If you don't know who he is, he's the person who made the Death Starcade mod. He took a Gen 1 arcade one up and 3D printed like Death Star parts on the whole outside of it. It looked gorgeous and fantastic. I was like, how did you 3D print all those pieces? It took him a super long time. And we were collaborating, and I told him like, hey, I want to create a Star Wars battle pod. Unpromptedly, he started designing and then working on like, hey, what are the dimensions of what you want to do? And it's the flat screen battle pod version. If you've been to the modern arcade, there's the dome version of it that you open up and you jump into it and there's a projector screen.
Right.
But I'm talking about the flat screen version of it where there was just like a chair and then there's like this giant monitor and then the sides of it looks freaking cool. And so the sides of it looks like this.
Oh my God.
Isn't this freaking cool?
He 3D printed that.
3D printed this
Oh
in several
my
pieces,
God,
put it
that's
together. He has an
amazing.
acrylic thing for the side, and so yeah, you can see like I just taped it together to be able to hold it up, but you won't see the inside portions of it.
Wow.
But this is 3D printed sides, and we're gonna have like he made this other acrylic insert for the inside portion of it, helped me design some stuff. So I'm doing a reveal early because I can't help. I'm like the person when I give a gift to somebody, I was like, I can't just hide it. I have to show it off. It's so freaking cool.
Right.
Like designing this whole portion on the bottom that's gonna go on the bottom of the screen too.
Oh my
It's just such. And then I'll just hold this up because it's so ginormous, and I haven't really taped everything down. But this is gonna be the topper, the Star Wars Battle Pod.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
and that's gonna light up, obviously.
Yeah, it's gonna light up. So it'll be a fun project.
Awesome.
I have no idea how I'm gonna do it yet, but it'll be one of those
when is it? When are you getting it out?
I have no idea. So I just got these parts. I got to give it up to George. He designed the better part of this earlier this year, but he just found the time to ship it to me because he didn't have a box that was big enough for everything. And so as soon as I got it, I was like, oh my God, I started like dry fitting the parts. I think last week when I first got it.
That is so cool. How
But
exciting.
I have to figure out how I'm gonna mount this to my TV because it's all custom parts. Like nobody's ever designed one of these things. So this is gonna be
you're probably gonna have to like get some particle board and like build a box for it,
yeah,
right?
I think so. I'm gonna build a box around the TV that mounted onto it is the plan.
And then plexi it. Build a box with a TV that you can just mount. I mean, not even mount. You can just set it in there, and then put a big plexi screen over it, and you're good to go. Then you just gotta paint it.
That's the plan. So I mean, it'll be fun. It's really cool.
I just wanted to be included. So.
Yes, I'm gonna credit your ideas for how it's gonna be done.
That is so cool. I mean, like the quality. I mean, it looks so legit. It looks so good.
I was so impressed. I can't believe this is 3D printed.
Oh,
like
wait,
the time it took to print all these things.
Here's the important question. How does Mrs. Kongs feel about this?
She saw the box, she saw the parts and everything. She says, "You're building what? That thing's gonna be huge." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be kind of big." So and so people are asking like, "I can't believe you sold your Outrun cabinet." And I'm like, "It was a fun project. Yes, I have a lot of ties and memories towards that, but I think this was an IP and just a cabinet I've always been drawn to. It was like when I made my Star Wars mod video, it was the game I wanted to play using a Star Wars yoke, but this one will be modded using like a real flight stick, and it'll be fun when it's all complete. So
okay, this is for the trilogy, right?
This is Star Wars Battle Pod. Have you played this game before?
Wait, I thought Battle Pod was.
It's the modern version that's like an upgraded version of Star Wars trilogy, essentially.
Yeah, but it's got like a bench and then like a huge screen in front of you with a control deck and right?
Yeah, this game came out, I think, I want to say like 2015 was when it came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it like a remake of it?
Yeah. Have you never played Star Wars Battle Pod ever?
No,
Like,
I mean,
you've never
because
been inside the
all that stuff looks really familiar, and I remember playing like the big sit down of Star Wars trilogy, so I thought that's like what it was.
No, pull up if you can pull up a Google screen, you can see it. So Star Wars Battle Pod flat screen.
Okay.
So Google that and see if you can pull up what we're looking at.
Let's see what I can do. Let's see if I can get this to work. Wait a second. Is it showing up?
Not that I can see. It's just No blank screen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna get it right now.
Or maybe I can share my screen. Would that work?
Can you share your screen?
Let's see. Let's try this out. 1 hour later.
Let me see. Oh, come on, Chrome. Not even letting me select it now. What is this dirt?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's not, no.
All right.
Oh, you did do it. How are you doing that?
I just said share screen. Is it anything popping up?
Yep, hold on, wait, let me go back to my other view. I'm gonna go to your view. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, yeah, I see. I
Is it popped
see.
up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you can see my screen now.
I
And
never played that, but I do remember seeing it.
yeah, so this
Yeah.
is Star Wars Battle Pod. This is the flat
Mhm.
screen version I was telling you. So that's the 3D printed parts that you're seeing on the side there, along with the whole top. I don't think many people have seen this version
Mhm.
in the arcade because a lot of times the full-on Battle Pod Dome version of it, whereas Battle Pod is normally this giant dome, right? And so this is what you would have seen like at a Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's or whatnot. So you open up the door, you jump inside, it's a projector screen. So
Mhm.
this is what really people would be seeing. But yeah, this version of the flat screen is what I'm hoping to build.
I feel like
And
I remember
yeah,
seeing that.
yeah, a battle pod.
I was gonna say at Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's, but
Mm-hmm.
I was on, actually, let's see, because in 2015 I was on deployment. I was in Australia, and
Mm-hmm.
I might have seen one of those in Sydney or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
These are just really fun.
but yeah, that
Yeah,
is
it came out in
really
2015. That's when it came out. But it's so if you've never played it, I will connect with you offline because there's a way to play it currently on a home arcade system if you
oh,
want to.
okay, okay.
Do you have Glenn's GRS yoke?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So the story of how I even modded the original Star Wars is because I saw Glenn's GRS yoke originally and
Mm-hmm.
was like, hey, this is a version of that's USB and I can play, Star Wars Trilogy, which I also really wanted to play, using the yoke instead of the older games. And
Mm-hmm.
so Star Wars Trilogy Arcade, right? So that's what you're talking about. So I wanted to play this game and I also wanted to play.
Right. And
So this is the sit
you
down
did
version that you're talking about.
you did a Star Wars trilogy arcade one up, which I thought was really cool.
I did, yeah. So this is probably the other sit down you're talking about. So this game again came out in the mid 90s, maybe late 90s. Is that when
Late,
this
I
game came
think
out?
it was late 90s, yeah.
Yeah, using Model 3.
But thank you for that. So that's really cool though. I mean, like the quality of those parts that you got just look amazing. So I'm really excited to see that
Okay, so
one.
now that you've seen it and I've done the reveal, people that are watching, would you rather see it completely done, or would you rather see me like tinker and figure out how to build this as we go along? Like as a person that watches content, what do you think would be more interesting?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? That's like your style though. So I feel like people are going to be like, just build it.
Just build it. Yeah, I know.
But that's cool.
Yeah, it's been
We've
fun
been
talking. Is there
going
anything else you wanted to talk about?
we've
This
been
is a
going
fun format.
good.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that we could do it. So, I mean, there's nothing crazy.
Hmm.
This is one thing, is where, like, in a nutshell, what kind of got you, into video games and arcade? Like, just tell me a little bit about the history of you, like, as a kid growing up, when you did, and what brought
Yeah.
you into all of this.
So I think arcade gaming passion really started because my parents owned a mom and pop video store growing up in Long Beach. And so,
Oh.
yeah, when the mom and pop stores that were competing with the blockbusters and things, so
Mm,
we had to use other things to bring people into the store. So,
yeah.
it was called SK Video Number Two. It doesn't exist anymore because no mom and pop video stores exist these days, or just
Right.
very few. And
Rest
we
in
sold
peace.
candy, and we had the little beaded section for that
Yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
going on. Um, and we
XXX.
had a middle school across the street. So after school, all the kids would come over get candy, and then we would have we had an
And
operator that
sneak
had
in
four
and
arcade
sneak into the
machines.
beaded area.
Yeah. Oh, I got put to work early in my days where I had to restock the shelves. So,
Yeah.
you know, I had to do my thing. It was really gross now that I think about it because obviously I'd have to check out people because when I was working at the store and
Uh-huh.
then they would check out, maybe 2 or 3 tapes and then they would just come back like an hour later and return it. I'm like, all right, I know what happened. They didn't
Oh
rewind it.
my God.
Be kind, rewind, people.
Oh.
But the Mom and Pop video store had a section in the front where we had arcade operators. So we
Mm-hmm.
had always 4 machines that were rotating based
Mm-hmm.
on whatever was there. So,
Mm-hmm.
had your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombat. I experienced all the racing cabinets, shooting cabinets.
Yeah.
Um, some of my favorites from the time were Raiden. I played a ton of Raiden. My dad was really into shoot 'em ups,
Mm-hmm.
and so like we played Raiden 2 so much
Oh yeah.
there. We had both Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat for a good period of time too. So, and since we were operating, if we took the quarters and we marked them with the black Sharpie on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
when the operator was collecting the coins, he would know that was from us, and so we would get free play essentially. So I would work at the store to get quarters to go play because parents don't really pay you in real money, but I got to
Right.
play
Yeah.
arcades and was kind of there. So that was like my first love of falling in love with so many different versions
That
of
is
arcade games.
cool.
Point Blank,
Yeah.
Police Trainer were some of my favorites. Tons of Cruising USA. There was only room for 4 machines, but every couple months they would rotate it. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was my introduction to so many different versions of arcades.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we also had a couple other arcades I really like to go to. It's back in the days when at the mall, parents would drop you off at the mall
Oh
with
yeah.
$5 and
Yeah.
they would go shopping. And I would just sit and watch people play at the local mall. And that's where I started playing NBC. Like when I was in high school,
Yeah.
that was like my main game I really got into in terms of competitive
What
playing.
what year were you born?
Me, I'm an 83 baby.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. I'm
yeah,
I'm 81.
yeah.
So arcades
Yeah,
and what about like console gaming and stuff like that?
so earliest console we had was the NES.
Mm-hmm.
Played that for a while. But my coming of age system was the Super Nintendo. So that
Okay.
still is to this date my favorite console of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a lot of time playing. Really got into the RPG scene. So Chrono Trigger is still, I
Oh
think, I
yeah.
would say that's like my number one favorite game of all time is Chrono
Oh
Trigger.
yeah.
Amount of time I played on that game, getting every single ending, playing it, leveling up. I can
Yeah.
play that game even from start to finish today and just love playing that game.
Yes.
But that, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Super Metroid, those are all just like super fun games. I love even to this day like playing. If I had 3 hours to kill, and be like, can I beat Super Metroid in 3 hours? Let's go, and just like jump in,
Yeah.
start playing it. So
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of fun
awesome.
playing that. So
That's
and
awesome.
then got into PS1 as well. Then I remember my first mod I ever did or hack was there was a mod where you can install a chip onto your
Yeah.
original PS1
Mod
to play.
chip.
Yeah, mod chip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to learn how to solder it because you had to solder it
Yeah.
onto the PS1, and I did it right before college.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was right at the age where I would be spending money on tons of CD-ROM spindles to
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to burn
The 100
everything.
packs.
Yeah, I would be making mixtapes for the girls and the ladies, and then I'd
Oh.
be burning video games, right? So
Yeah. Oh man.
Napster days and all that good stuff. But that was fun. That was one of my first video game mods I ever did was that mod chip. It was super fun.
I think we do owe each other some online
do.
play. We need
We
to do
do.
another online play stream. I mean, even if you whoop me all over the place, it'll be fun just to play. Yeah, I saw that you were doing that SF6 beta, and what are your? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I was saying that because I was just talking about playing on a fight stick versus like a gamepad,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And the modern control scheme for Street Fighter 6 allows you to do one button specials,
Oh.
but it's designed for I feel like gamepad players than stick players, right? Because most competitive people are playing on a stick.
Right.
So the advantage is obviously you can do specials with one button and auto into combos, but you lose access to more normals that you wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Oh,
So
weird.
the way it works is like 3 buttons on your gamepad are low, medium, high, but it's either a punch or a kick. You have to it'll kind of prioritize the one that Like there's only one medium
Oh,
punch, and
I
then the fourth
see.
button is the special. And if you press forward special, you can do a dragon punch, shoryuken. So it's super cheesy. So some people are like, modern controls are trash, and I
Yeah.
thought modern controls were trash too. I was like, I wanted to play classic mode, but my beta, I didn't have a compatible controller with my PS5 to use my fight stick.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, all right, I gotta play on the gamepad. And then I just started learning how to play modern controls, and I'm like, oh shit, this is actually pretty fun. Like since I'm at a point in time in my age where learning new things is kind of
Right.
harder to pull off the timing of combos and things. Like
Yeah.
it still allowed me to enjoy the game competitively enough where I didn't feel like I had to relearn from scratch again.
Huh.
So I,
That's
I it
interesting.
made it more fun to play, and I feel like if I'm gonna be playing the modern games because they're still modern, I was actually a fan of the modern controls, and it's to be able to pull off the timing of a combo to combo into something. Um, it's still a good feeling whether it's classic or modern. People could say whatever you want if it's an easy mode, but I
Right.
had fun
Right.
playing with it. That's like my quick take on it. That is like to compete at the level with other people, it really brings the bar up for anybody that's familiar with the franchise to get in there and feel like they can be competitive without having to learn the timing of everything from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I had no idea that the system was set up like that. And I was gonna say, like, so is that cheating? um,
You can tell there's a little icon that says if they're modern controls or
uh-huh.
classic controls.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, so we all know who Justin Wong is, right?
Right.
There's another fight game content creator I really like watching. His name is JM Crofts. If
Okay.
you've ever seen him, he does great breakdowns. And he did a video where he was playing against Justin Wong and was like, the title's like, Justin Wong destroyed me with modern controls. And so Justin did a whole video about,
Oh.
he's a classic, obviously one of the best fighting game players of all time. He
Uh-huh.
was like, yeah, I'm digging the modern controls. And I'm like, so if it's a cheat mode for regular people, imagine a
Yeah.
pro like Justin
Just getting on
being
that.
like, oh, this is easy. I can one button you and zone you out with just one button without having to execute. Like his timing just got even better. He's using modern controls
So
now. But
do they have parries in there
they
still?
do.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
you can still parry. There's a drive system where you can kind of like break people's defenses down.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so even though people will say it's cheating, the downside again is you lose access to several normal attacks that
Mm-hmm.
you could use to actually extra combo into, or to poke and keep people
But
away.
you can
So
choose between the
no, the character it'll just prioritize whatever normal it is, like high, medium, or low,
no, no, no.
and
I
like
mean,
there's
like,
already a set.
but you can choose between like modern controls
Oh
or
yes, yes, yes. You can
okay.
choose between you can pick your settings. And
Okay.
it's the other thing I don't like was obviously just like Street Fighter 5, you have to set up who your online character is before you jump into a match.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start your playing, you default to that character. I kind of miss like joining a lobby with somebody and then you pick your character
Oh,
and
I
then
see
being
what you're
able to go to the
saying.
character select screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you replay them in the beta at least, you couldn't change your character right away. You had to exit and then pick
Huh.
again. So unless I
I
missed
wonder
that,
if there's I mean, I'm sure I feel like that's something that other people would say something about though,
mhm,
like
yeah,
as far as like giving feedback on the actual
mhm,
beta. Like I
yeah,
wonder if
character
that's
select
something.
screen. Because
Yeah.
otherwise it's retry battle or exit screen. They didn't allow you to change your character. So maybe
Hmm.
that's just a modern way of playing. But I mean, you should, right? You have to be able to adjust if you're playing an FT5, like switch your character around, change it up.
Do you
But
have
there's
do you have a fight stick like a F300 or anything like that?
Um, I had a Mad Catz tournament PS3 edition that
Oh,
I
okay.
modded. It was with a Brooks Universal.
Oh,
So I
okay,
plugged
okay.
it into a PC and it plugs into everything PS4 and below,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't recognized with the PS5. So that was
Oh,
my
okay. So I bought an F300. Oh God, I forget what the name of it is, but I just call it the F300. There's an F300 and an F500 fight stick, and they work with like all the systems to, I
oh, the
think,
Mayflash.
yeah, Mayflash.
Ugh, okay.
They work all the way down to like 360 and PS3, I think.
Mhm.
But they come whatever they come with is fine, but they're fairly inexpensive, and you can swap the buttons out with like Sanwa if you wanted to.
Mhm.
So they're really easy to take apart and mod for
Nice.
modders. But it's very surprisingly for the price point. I feel like it's a pretty good deal. Like I mean, it's comfortable. I can comfortably like set it on my lap, and I don't feel like it's flying all over the place. I don't know. I really like it, and one of the main reasons I got it was because I wanted to be able to play Ultra Street Fighter 2 on
Mm,
Switch.
nice.
Because that has online play as well. I wanted to be able to play it with an actual fighting stick because I just cannot play
Yeah.
fighting
Fighting
games like
games on a
that.
gamepad.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore.
Dude, so when I was at Evo, they had some beta examples for Street Fighter 6,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
also at even at Comic-Con they had it. And then they had an option for like gamepad or fight sticks, and then they would ask you at the front. And when I was in line with people, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta wait for the gamepad." Like so many current players play with the gamepad more than with the fight stick. So it's really interesting. It was
Yeah,
just
that
like I
is
remember that,
crazy.
yeah, that it's optimized now for console players because maybe they're not used to fight stick. But
Yeah, and SF6 is that's not going to be released in arcades?
didn't hear there was. I remember somebody saying there might be like a candy cap version of it that comes
Hmm.
out. Like, I mean, I've also seen Japan they might do it, but
Or
yeah,
Vulix or
I don't.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do any current ones. It would be fun if they did something in the arcades currently, but arcade is all about nostalgia now, and playing simpler modern versions of games. Like the biggest
Yeah.
fighting game right now is that stupid one button Injustice fighting
Oh
game,
yeah,
the
yeah,
three
yeah,
button thing.
yeah. I know that
I
that's
can't get
like a
into it.
that's like a game you can play on your phone too, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
just
don't get it.
I don't either.
Hmm.
I don't either. But
Hmm.
you know what? That's the I guess that's the new generation of kids
The
these
new
days.
new gens people.
Um,
But
but
if they do
yeah,
water controls in the arcade, then yeah. But I can see the attention span of people trying to get into SF6. Like, it would have to be like a motor control system or something like that. Like, or maybe they
yeah,
have to
for sure,
choose.
for
I don't
sure.
know. There's too many options, right? There's no arcade mode where you just jump into it and like play. Like there's so many things you have to do to get up to set up and things.
Right.
So I'd be curious what an
Yeah.
arcade version of that game would look like.
One of the last things I want to say, just because I was thinking about it though, is that's one of the things that is it kind of does bother me about playing fighting games now on consoles,
Mhm.
is you have to like you have to get connected to the server and this, that, and the other. It's like, dude, just let me jump into the game. Because if I'm
Yeah,
not playing online, I just want to jump into the game. But,
yeah, yeah.
there's like this whole process now. And I'm like, get out of my space. Let me
Gotta be
play what
t-
I paid for.
gotta be in sync with everything. It's the new age of gaming, so
Yeah.
it's just what it is.
But, okay, on that note, I would like to thank you very much for all your support and continued support in the community and just as a friend. And thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And if you have anything that you would like to plug shamelessly, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, I would love to plug. She Lion Gaming is currently at 1,600 subscribers, and it's been amazing to see her growth in the community in such a short amount of time. There's very few people that could reach that benchmark. I was there, present, when you crossed the 1,000 subscriber threshold, which was an amazing, fun time just to promote other content creators. And so
B got me, he's being modest, he got me over the 1,000 subscriber
that was
threshold.
fun,
So
right?
thank you. It
But
was
on
very
your
fun. That was a
But
fun
on your
stream.
own, you've already gained since that time point, like just a month ago, 600 new subscribers. So you are growing at a tremendous rate, Jade. I just want to say that, your voice in the community has been well received and you provide some excellent points. The only thing I would consider having you do is to, shorten up your live stream unboxing streams just a tad bit. 4 hours was a little bit of a long time for me to hang out, come back in and be like, damn, she's still going. But, that'll happen over time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
get better at NBC so we can play some matches together. That's going to happen.
Mm.
But no, I really do enjoy, not only being a content creator, but I am a fan of the home arcade community space. And so I do encourage folks that have a voice that like want to make content, continue to do it. And, if you do it well, let your content speak for yourself and people will come and be gravitated to you. So Sheila, you've definitely filled a space. And yeah, I
Yeah.
do, I saw a recent picture of you changing your arcade a bit though. So it seems like you're transitioning yourself into kind of a new phase of your home arcade journey, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit hybridized,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I see the value in all the arcade one-ups that I do have,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm definitely hybridized. However, I'm getting to that point where it's becoming very refined.
Yeah,
So
you got to be selective.
Yeah, so it's becoming very refined. So I think a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing moving forward is going to be like upgrading stuff, and then
Yes.
a combination of upgrading stuff, and I've also been thinking about pulling in cabs to restore and sell. So just making the restoration process a part of my channel.
I
And
have so many full-size stuff in my garage too that I've not touched at all
oh,
because
really?
so many projects,
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
projects.
yeah. But the other thing that I've been really actually considering lately is like, if Arcade One Up comes out with a product that is interesting enough, picking it up just to like give it a once over and give people like a real look at it. I think I try to be like very unbiased and like price pointy with the things that I review and look at,
Mhm.
and uh, do it in a way to where people who watch my content are entertained, but they're also like, okay, is this justified? Is this something that I really want? Like, point out really technical details about it. So we'll see where that goes as far as
Look forward to it.
doing stuff like that. But thank you very much. And
Yeah.
man, you made me forget because I was going to say something else, and then you did a shameless plug for me. You weren't supposed to do that. Um,
That's all
but
good. Yeah.
uh, B Kongs, everyone, make sure you help him get his channel to 10K by sharing everything he does, liking it, and give him a follow if you're not following him for some reason. But I don't see why anybody who's following me would not be following you. Since you sent me over like what, probably 100 subs or something.
All good. We help each other out in the content creator space.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
appreciate promoting everybody else. And yeah, it's been fun. I think I've enjoyed, trying to still find a unique way to deliver content. And I think my niche this year has been bringing kind of fun events to the home arcade community. I think that's where
yeah.
like my biggest accomplishment was, I was able to bring Shaq to the community or Evo or, just other things like going to
You
John's
did
office. So,
okay, and this should definitely be pointed out. This is somebody I wanted to bring up earlier, but
mhm,
you've done a ton of things for the community and to help Arcade One Up. But like from a community aspect, the things that you've done. I mean, like you and all the other content creators who basically got together and did
mhm,
the fundraiser slash
mhm,
blowout sale, for
mhm,
One Up. And I know that people were saying like, what was it, 5% of the revenue went to Red
mhm,
Cross, right?
mhm,
And I just thought that that was so awesome. I'm like, who cares? Like if it's 5%, like
mhm.
it's that's a lot of revenue that still went to them, and it was a good event, but it was great. My point is just that what you're doing out there, B, keep doing it, because
Thanks.
you put together these things, you have these ideas, and you get a lot of people in the community together, and I think that that's important, especially um, from a YouTube aspect, because
Mhm.
you can see continuity within the community, and then it helps build, but it also is a good way to get out there and just have a good time and
Yeah.
do good things, be fun.
One of the things that I did put in John's ear is like was curious if there was plans for more kind of activations or in-person type events that Arcade
Hmm.
One Up or any home arcade company would be at, because a lot of those the main target audience is either a new market or just kind of introducing people. But it was, and it could be just for the people that were showing up there. Those person that experienced it, that'd be fine. But only a limited number of people can experience it. But being able to like bring the larger arcade community into whatever one of those things was, I think, really a fun way to get people inside of those particular things. I was like, we should do that, or at least if it's not me, get somebody that would be willing to, bring part of that event to the larger community to kind of see it and have some fun with it. So I'm hoping they do more of that. But 2023, that would be my goal. If I find a niche, it would be finding more fun, unique events to go to and bringing that to the community. That's what I want to do. So
That's awesome. Well,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you have a safe and
you
happy
too.
new year with your family. And to our viewers out there, Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.
Thanks.